Hi guys. Hey, listen, how are you doing out there in this COVID-19 world? Hopefully you and your kiddos are doing well. I am coming to you today to talk about homeschooling your child with special needs, those of you who have kids that have IEPs. So I sort of got a head start on you guys because I pulled my daughter out of public schools in November. So I'm just going to share with you a few things about what I did, what worked, what didn't. If you can use any of it, that's great. I'm going to follow up this video with some resources for you. And so let's get started. So the first thing is, I sort of have some notes here, so you're going to see me looking at my notes, okay? So the first thing is our new reality, right? So one of the biggest myths that I had to face when I pulled Amanda out of public school and made the decision to homeschool her was I thought that homeschooling her was school at home. You know, like picture your kid sitting at a desk at home. And homeschooling is really not that. Homeschooling is much more than that. It's learning every day, all the time. And there's no formal or right or wrong way to do it. It really depends on you and your child. So getting rid of that idea that you need to be a master's level school teacher to teach your child at home don't do that to yourself. I had to allow myself a period of time where I had to step back and take a breather in terms of allowing my child to de-school, to not look for that routine that she was so used to. And I also had to give myself a moment to gather myself to figure out, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to approach this situation? Of course, with you guys, the school systems that you are in should be supporting you with curriculum and things that you can do. I built my own, so I definitely needed probably a little more time to assess what I was going to do. But the other good thing about stepping back a bit is that you get to give yourself an opportunity to learn your child in a teaching environment, a learning environment, I mean. I didn't know my kid that well when it came to how she learned. I thought I did, and I'm a vicious advocate for my kid. But I learned a lot of things over these 5 months about how she learns, what things motivate her, what things don't motivate her. And she's been a huge part of that process in teaching me what works for her. So I had to be a listener. So moving on to the next thing is, okay, now what? Right? Since my kiddo is verbal and communicates pretty well, I was able to have conversations about her about what kinds of things were important for her to learn, what things she's interested in. And I do realize that some of you have children who are nonverbal. That doesn't mean you don't know your kids' likes and dislikes, but if you're able to, you want to involve your child in the process of learning, like what the lesson plans look like, what subjects they like to do early as opposed to later in the day, how much time you're going to spend together. So all of those things are very important, and wishing you luck on that. So I planned with her. I didn't plan around her, which it sort of guaranteed her buy-in. Because she was part of the decision-making process, then she has been much more involved and engaged during our learning opportunities. So I would strongly recommend that you involve your child. Okay, so what about my work and family life, and how does my homeschooling schedule play into all of that? So, big takeaway, you can schedule your homeschooling program or whatever you want to call it around your family life and your business life. It's completely doable. There's no set hours. You don't have to get up at 6 a.m. and have class from 7 to 3 or 8 to 2, whatever. You can break up your day. And you're probably going to have lots of days where your schedule is not working anyway. Your kid is like, I'm not having it. And you may feel like I'm not having it. So you may have to scratch it for that day. But just know that your schedule is super duper flexible. And for me, Amanda indicated early on, she likes to engage in her learning later in the afternoon and not first thing in the morning. So I am able to get a lot of my business affairs done during the early morning. And so the afternoons, we do that. And then also we don't do school 5 days a week. So I take a day off in the middle of the week. Thursdays is our day off. And I'm able to commit that entire day to whatever else I need to do, because you got to do laundry. You got to tidy up the house, and so just know that your schedule is flexible. And of course, because we're in the middle of COVID-19, you guys are all home. So that becomes even more important, knowing that you have this flexibility. So don't forget that. Active learning. So active learning happens in so many different ways. Remember I said, homeschooling is not school at home, but it's lots and lots of opportunities to learn, like cooking a meal, right? You can do measuring and, 1 cup of this and 1 teaspoon of that. Like, that's a math lesson, guys. Did you know that? So there's lots of fun things you can do. You can go outside. You can pick flowers. You can do a living gallery of flowers growing, or science project. There's so many different ways that you can, household chores can become like learning opportunities, right? Teaching them how to cook and wash clothes and build things. So just remember that active learning happens all the time. Also, recreation, family board game nights, music, listening to music together, talking about it, discussing artists and things like that. All of those things work together. Walking, bike riding, dancing. Amanda loves to dance. Dances all the time. That's physical ed, for sure. And then the other thing that you can do is solicit your family members to support you in this effort. So you can have your husband, you can have siblings, everybody can get involved in the learning process. So don't forget that. Incorporating your values. So for me, Amanda was public schooled for a very long time, and we are a Christian family. So I thought it was a really great thing that I was able to now begin our day before we start learning with prayer. I'm able to incorporate different scriptures that support the things that she's learning into her lessons. And I'm able to do that in lots of different ways. So she's got scriptures for the month. She's got scriptures for the week. Lesson plans have scriptures attached to them. So you can really do that. You can offer, you can start building in your family's value system into your learning opportunities. So don't be afraid to do that. And it's a great opportunity to start teaching them those things as well. I cannot emphasize enough the need for support. Get yourself connected to homeschooling co-ops and Facebook groups and other folks who have done this. Before I started homeschooling Amanda, I connected with parents who have been doing this for a while. I had meetings in my home. I had phone calls. I had Facebook Facebook Lives and FaceTimes and whatever I could get my hands on. So just know that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Other people are doing this. Other people with children with disabilities are doing this and are being very successful. So you can do this. Go easy on yourself. Go easy on your kiddo. And then again, this could be a very meaningful time for you. It doesn't have to be one that's filled with stress and anxiety. Let your child know that, you're in this together because you're going to be learning together. So make the best of it. Turn this lemons into lemonades, guys. Okay. So, I'm hoping this helped you. And, if you think of anything any questions that you have for me, I'm going to probably do a couple of Facebook Lives where we can chat and discuss, and I can tell you, what curriculum I'm using and how those things are going. And if you decide that you're going to completely homeschool, like pull your kid from a public system, then we could talk about some of the things that you should think about if you do that. Okay, so just wanted to get that out to you to let you know, send you some virtual hugs and let you know you're not in this alone and it's going to be fine. You're going to do great. All right, take care. Bye, guys. Happy homeschooling.